Progress on a leash. The West's hold on Pakistan's progress. This topic has been a matter of debate for a long time, but I'm sure none of you might have heard about it from any news outlet or a person with authority. At most, it's a dinner table discussion. But today, I plan on covering this topic in depth. Now, if you could spare me a minute and think about what the views and demands were of the Muslims at the time of partition. You might have guessed that we wanted a place for Muslims to live their lives and practice their religion without any pressure or prejudice. A place where people have voice, freedom to choose for themselves. A place where we're not suppressed by anyone. If these were all your guesses, then these were not wrong. But think about Pakistan now. Could you say that we've achieved all that? Quaid-e-Azam called for partition as a pledge to defend the people's integrity and rights, because he knew that we couldn't live the way we were in the subcontinent. Now, instead of building on the ideals of the founding fathers, Pakistan has found itself at odds with its own promises. This begs the question if we really can salvage that same passion in the masses' heart or if we really are too far gone. As of today, Pakistan is seen as a diverse yet complex country because of socio-economic, political, and environmental problems. But all this can be balanced out by its significant location on the map and rich cultural history. This means that Pakistan has potential to grow. However, Pakistan's financial condition is strained because it can't generate enough revenue, and to fill that gap, it must take from here and there. Ever since emerging on the map, external debt has been a persistent issue with Pakistan, since Pakistan regularly seeks assistance from IMF to meet its foreign currency obligation. A large portion of its budget goes towards debt servicing, leaving limited resources for development and social spending. Furthermore, Pakistan's trade balance remains negative, as it relies heavily on imports while the export sector faces competitive issues. Inflation rates have surged over the years, depreciating Pakistani rupee, which has reduced purchasing power of citizens and increased cost of businesses reliant on imports. And if that's not all, political instability has added uncertainty to the investment climate, which worsens the economy. Decoding the path to our current situation. How did we get here? It all started in the first IMF conference. The first IMF conference was held in July 1944 in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. Thus, it is also regarded as the Bretton Woods Conference. This conference focused on creating a stable international economic order after World War II to prevent any instability that had led to the Great Depression and the war. In this conference, IMF and a fixed exchange rate system was established. IMF, also known as the International Monetary Fund, was designed to promote international monetary cooperation. It also provided temporary financial assistance to countries facing balance of payment challenges. In this conference, a new fixed exchange rate system was also proposed. The conference proposed a fixed exchange rate system. Currencies were linked to the US dollar, which was in turn related to gold, since at that time 75% of all gold reserves were found in America. This system is known as the Bretton Woods system. What this meant was that all currencies were first related to the US dollar and then to gold. But how it affected us as a country, you may ask? Because after Pakistan came into existence, it encountered a pivotal decision of forming an allegiance with either Russia or America. Pakistan chose America and formed diplomatic relations with America just a couple months after emerging on the map. From here, the friendship between Pakistan and America started. Later, during Cold War, the US-Pakistan relations deepened as Pakistan became a key ally in America's effort to counter Soviet influence in South Asia. At that time, Pakistan faced financial challenges due to limited resources and other factors. These factors led to recurring deficits in its balance of payments, making it difficult for Pakistan to stay afloat. At that time, IMF stepped in and first provided monetary aid to Pakistan in 1958 to help address its balance of payment issues and to stabilize its economy. What looked like a simple act of kindness at that time was a well thought out plan from the West's end. Because after a few years, the US made requests for letting CIA formulate bases in Pakistan, At first, it was rejected by Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan, but later on, it was accepted by Prime Minister Sohrawardi. He made the decision of leasing Peshawar Air Station to the US so that it could keep an eye on the Soviet Union. To this day, Pakistan's budget comes from IMF, most of which is used in balance of payments, and the little sum that does enter our country isn't enough to make any drastic impact. Now, if one thinks about it, sadly, they must realize that Pakistan is nothing more than a lifeless body, the lifespan of which is artificially being prolonged by the help of ventilators. Since this country can't generate a revenue of its own, the West provides it with more aid, which increases the debt every year. This debt leaves a long term impact on the progress of this country. But why doesn't anybody say anything about it? Because of West's method of divide and rule. In addition to some other tricks the West has played on us, it also happens to be a master of the method of exploiting the masses. After its separation from India, Pakistan was having a difficult time abandoning its pre existing identity and embracing this newfound identity of just a Pakistani. That's when the West carefully pried on this weakness and divided us. What's more is that Pakistan's frequent shift between civilian governments and military dictatorships were often influenced by US support. It was America who was behind General Ayub Khan and later General Ziaul Haq, both of which enforced military power. US supported our internal power struggles and the worsening of our democratic processes. Although it's not direct divide and rule approach, but US policies indirectly weakened ethnic and sectarian divisions. Since the inflow of weapons and funds intended for the Afghan conflict sometimes ended up in the hands of militant groups within Pakistan, this fueled sectarian violence. These aren't all. There are other numerous instances where the population felt triggered and discouraged because of US's involvement in our progress. Which brings us to political interventions. There have been times where US has intervened in our own independent political system simply because it benefited them at that time. As mentioned, Ayub Khan and Ziaul Haq were especially supported by the US because they were their golden ticket against communism, which was being spread by the Soviet Union. This support was either in the form of aids, arms, or diplomatic banking, or even helping them reinforce military rule. These leaders were being supported monetarily, but they were being used as puppets for the benefit of their own. Another time when the US intervened in our own political system was in 2007 when we transitioned back to a civilian rule. US encouraged a power sharing arrangement between Pervez Musharraf and the former Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto. Although this plan did not fully materialize, but you can already work out how it could have possibly affected us as a country. But the question still remains, how does US actually control us and our progress? To simply put it, US controls us through sanctions and financial leverage. Since till now it's been established that we are being controlled through monetary help, the US has used sanctions to exert pressure on Pakistan over the years. When Pakistan was conducting nuclear tests in 1998, the sanctions were imposed to admonish Pakistan for it. But these sanctions really hurt Pakistan's economy until these were lifted after the War of Terror, where Pakistan aided US. I'm sure that I don't have to point it out for you, but these sanctions remind us of punishments that we give to pups. It's still not clear to you what we are to US are actually nothing more than puppets or pups. To them, we are nothing but entities that depend on them for almost anything, and when we don't obey, they punish us with sanctions or taking away the monetary aid that they provide us for supporting them. What they want us is making bids for them. In the end, I can only ask the youth not to depend on US too much and to make an identity of our own. We must take back what was rightfully ours, no matter how little it may be, it being our integrity, our autonomy, and our respect.